Hello, my name is Brian Otis with Rice Tech Incorporated. Proper grain drill calibration is a very important aspect to getting off on the right foot each season. And with Rice Tech seed, that's no exception. As you know, we're dealing with lower than normal seeding rates, so it's very important to get your grain drill calibrated so that you get a good start each season. So today we're going to go through calibrating three major types of grain drills. An air seeder like you see behind me, we're going to go through a John Deere type box drill, and then finally we're going to finish with a Great Plains type box drill. So I'd like to thank Greenway Equipment for donating their time and space and equipment so that we can go through each of these today and so that you become more comfortable with calibrating a grain drill on your own. Okay, so I'm going to go through basically your supply list of what you're going to need for proper drill calibration. First thing you're going to need to do is look at your bag of seed or the piece of paper that comes with the mini bulk and find out what your seed per pound rate is. For this particular bag, we know that we've got 20,202 seed per pound. Okay, so what you're going to do is divide that number into your seeding rate, which in the case, depending on how many pounds of seed per acre, your number of seed per acre, you divide that number by the number on the bag. And when you do that, that's going to give you the exact number of pounds per acre that you need to plant. Once you've determined the number of seeds per pound, either in our pre-planting newsletter that we send out annually, on our website at ricetech.com, you can get or you can download an Excel spreadsheet, which is our calibration worksheet, which works for any seed you want to plant in your grain drill. Works for Rice Tech seed, works for soybean seed. But you're going to need to know the number of seed per pound and the number of, or the pounds per acre of seed that you want to plant. You'll enter that number into our calibration worksheet, and our worksheet will give you the proper amount of seed that you need to catch in the grain drill to ensure that you're properly calibrated. Now, on our website and in our pre-planting newsletter, we also provide basic starting points for each type of box grain drill, which, based on previous experience of our field tech and tech reps out in the field, we've determined on Great Plains and John Deere drills a good starting point with each type of drill so that you can be in the ballpark at least from where you want to get started. Okay, so for supplies that you're going to need, first you'll need a tape measure. You're going to need to measure the circumference of the gauge wheel or the transmission wheel that's actually turning the drill. Second, you're going to need a ruler, and this will enable you to measure the cog so that you can get a very accurate measurement which meters the seed coming out of the drill. We recommend a metal ruler in metric, so it's in centimeters and millimeters. Second, you'll need a calculator just to help you do some basic calculations, although if you download the spreadsheet from our website, the Excel spreadsheet will do that for you. Duct tape. You'll need duct tape to mark the transmission wheel because we will be making a number of revolutions with the gauge wheel or transmission wheel. This will just help you keep track of where you're at. Finally, and something that most people probably don't have, will be a small electric scale. In this particular case, you can use a postage scale, or this scale is just a standard electric scale that you can actually buy off the internet. Next, just a couple of cups to help moving seed around in the drill to measure seed out of the bag to pour into the drill. In order to measure the seed out of each of the seed cups under the box drill, you can either use individual cups to put under the cups. You can use the styrofoam cup as shown here, or a standard plastic solo cup. Or if you'd rather, you can use a catch can, which you can catch several row units at one time, and then you can pour it out here at the end. So either one of these methods will work fine. And then finally, once you're calibrated, we've come up with these handy magnets that you can affix to the lid in the box, and you can write down your settings. So each year, when you come to recalibrate at the beginning of the year, you've got good starting points from where you were set last year, so that in the following year, you'll know where to start and you can calibrate the drill on your own. Okay, now we're going to go over the proper calibration of a standard John Deere box drill. What we've got here is a John Deere 1590 on 7.5-inch row centers. There's a few housekeeping items you need to do before you get started with the calibration. The first thing is to get our starting point sheet that's available on our website or in our pre-planning newsletter, and set the drill to the proper starting point. So for this particular drill, on 7.5-inch row centers, we want to set the notch at about 28. Now remember, that's just a starting point that we're going to use to begin the calibration. We might have to make minor adjustments as we go along. A lot of times with these drills, it's important because there's so much play, especially on an older drill, that you want to either put it all the way to 0 when you start or all the way to 60 before you make the adjustment. So for this particular drill, our recommended starting point is 28. So I pushed it all the way to 0, and then I'm going to bring it to 28 for our starting point. And it's always good to remember to go ahead and make this setting while the grain drill is still empty, because it can get difficult to move the lever while there's grain in the drill. One thing that's extremely important with the John Deere drills is to make sure that you put the half-speed drives on the side of the drill. Each box will have a set of sprockets that goes in. If you don't use the half-speed drives, you have to close the cogs down so much that you can grind up the seed. So it's real important to get the half-speed drives in here to slow the drill down enough to plan our recommended seeding rates. Okay, the next step is you've got to get the right measurement of your gauge wheel or your transmission wheel. So the way to do this is get a piece of duct tape, masking tape, anything. The way I like to do it is to place the tape down and go ahead or put the measuring tape, put the duct tape over the measuring tape, and then turn the wheel while keeping the measuring tape in the center of the wheel. And once you get it turned, we take a measurement of the circumference. The gauge wheel on this particular drill is 7 feet 1 inch, so 85 inches. So we'll take that number and we'll plug that into our calibration spreadsheet, and then that'll give us the proper distance for every rotation of the wheel. We know how far we're traveling. Once we've got our gauge wheel measured, the next thing to do is, while the drill is still clean, before we add seed, is to make sure that your cups are in the first setting. Okay, on our calibration spreadsheet, we recommend you catch a minimum of 5 row units when you're calibrating a box drill. So what you do is drop these first 5 off. Okay, once we've got the seed cup set and everything's set, the drill's empty, we're going to pour enough seed just to cover the cups that we're going to calibrate. Now it's important that you don't fill the whole drill up at this point, because we still may need to make adjustments to the drill itself. So at this point, you're just going to put enough seed in to cover the cups that you want to calibrate. Once you've got seed covering the first 5 cups, or the cups that you're going to calibrate, you need to turn the wheel to get the drill primed. So while you're turning the wheel, watch the seed cups, and once you've got seed filling the cups, bring your wheel back to your mark, and this will be your starting point for the calibration. Once you get the drill primed, you get your cups emptied, you put them back under the seed cup. Okay, once you've got your drill primed, refer back to your bag, either your paper bag or your mini book, and there'll be a number indicating the number of seeds per pound. Okay, you'll need to input that number into the spreadsheet, which can be found at ricetech.com, number of seeds per pound. Okay, and then you'll have to enter the other information about your grain drill, your row width, which we've already talked about, and then the circumference of your gauge wheel. Those numbers will go into this spreadsheet, and then it will generate a number of grams that you need to catch with 15 turns of the gauge wheel. And that number will tell you if you're on track to getting your seeding rate. So at this point, we're going to turn the gauge wheel 15 times and see how close we are to the target number that our calibration spreadsheet gives us. All right, once we've got our numbers in, we know what we need to catch on our spreadsheet. We're going to turn the wheel 15 times and make the catch under the seed cups. After you've turned the wheel 15 times, you're going to collect the seed out of each of these 5 cups and put them into some container. Make sure that this container you've already zeroed out on your scale, on your digital scale or whatever scale you've got, you've zeroed the weight of this out. Okay, once we collect the seed, we place it on our scale. We see how close our number is compared to what our calibration worksheet tells us we need to catch, and then we adjust the drill up or down depending on what our number is. All right, while you're in the calibration process and you start getting close, it's a good idea to have one of these metric rulers that we discussed. And you'll measure the cog width by putting the ruler all the way to the inside of the cog, inside the seed cup, and measure the distance to the outside of the cog. So in this particular case, we're at 29 millimeters, okay? And when we're dealing with seeding rates as low as we are with these hybrids, a very small adjustment on your lever can make a big adjustment on this cog. So it's always a good idea to use this ruler to take your measurements and then keep track of this number as opposed to the number on the lever, because this is a lot more accurate than the number on the lever. Once you get your number that you're looking for from your calibration spreadsheet, go ahead and check it a couple of times to make sure that it's consistent. Once you get one side of the drill done, go ahead and check the other side of the drill to make sure that it's the same. At the conclusion of calibration, when you're ready to go to the field, go ahead and fill the drill up, put your seed tubes back on, and then go to the field. As you're planting, you need to periodically check behind the drill to make sure that your numbers are still consistent. It's always good to carry this ruler with you in the field to constantly measure the width of that cog to make sure that you're not getting any play in the system or it's not moving one way or another on you. The other thing is at RiceTech is we provide a magnet to keep track of your drive settings and your seeding rates and your notch settings for each different drill. Now there's several different types of grain drills that are similar to this drill, and you can use the same methods that we demonstrated here on this drill. But keep track of these from year to year, and you can keep them under the lid or keep them on the side of your drill so that in future years you can refer back to where you started to make calibration a lot faster in the following year.